Good evening, Dr. Gary here on the road. We are dental practice brokers nationwide. We sell dental practices across the country. Today's topic is, when you decide to sell your dental office, what happens to an expensive CAT scan as far as valuation and expensive implant materials? How does that value come into play in the sale of your practice? So we have a situation here that we just did a appraisal of a practice. The doctor recently bought the implant kit, almost $30,000. And recently, within the last 2 years, bought a CAT scan. What role does that play in the valuation of a practice? And we'll get into that. All right. So in shorter terms, what value is there with an implant setup, all the supplies and equipment, and a recent CAT scan? How does that affect the sale price? Anyway, so we've been doing this for 12 years now. I was a dentist for 25. We have a staff of 10, 2 CPA accountants, marketing director, operations director, and 5 development acquisition people, specialists. You could reach us 363 days a year. We take off Christmas and Easter, and we can be available on the East Coast time, 7:30 a.m. to about 9:30 p.m. We always pick up the phone, and we're there to give you advice. We'll give you free advice. If you don't know how much your practice is worth, we can give you an approximate appraisal. Obviously we can do a full-blown appraisal, but that involves a lot of work. We can do that, but we can always give a complimentary short appraisal of what we think the practice should be worth, taking a look at a few parameters. But to get a true appraisal, you really got to get into the numbers, and you've got to understand what's going on. If you're trying to sell your practice to possibly a DSO, they will often pay our commission, so there'll be no commission to the seller, and sometimes
in 1 mile, keep right.
Oops, sorry. We can get legal fees reimbursed at closing, so it works out quite well. The other information we're about to get into now is, during the sale of the practice, we're talking about the CAT scan and the value of the implant materials, which can be quite costly. An office can have 15 to 30,000 almost in implant pieces and units, and then they could have a recent CAT scan. They spent a lot of money.
In a quarter of a mile, keep right.
It's all included. Sorry if we're working and those are our directions. We don't want to get lost. That's really all included in the price. Does it make it more marketable because you have the CAT scan? And if indeed the doctor does implants, it has...
Keep right.
Let's say that you have a second office and you don't think you can get the value from the implants and the CAT scan, and you just, before you decide to sell the office, you could remove it. I think it makes it more marketable, and it's expensive to move. Could be $5,000 or more to move a CAT scan, and then will it work on the other side? I don't really know if it's worth it. I think it makes the office more marketable because you have these high-tech things. Marketable to me doesn't mean a higher price, but it does mean that the practice will sell. Maybe at a slight premium because you have something. It appears that all of the young buyers, they all want CAT scans. So if you have one in place, they may be more inclined to purchase your practice, making it more marketable because you have that. Secondly, if they do implants, now the question is, does the buyer do implants? If they don't do implants, well, that's a different story. So it's something you'll have to decide. But if you're going to pull equipment out, because it's hard to say that CAT scan there is not included. It doesn't work well. you're just better off removing it and moving it to your other office or selling it. But in the end, of course, you're $5,000 to sell it. It could be an older unit. You may have paid $150,000 for it, but it's only, you can get a new one now for, I think, $68,000 here in the year 2022. So prices have come down. So yours has some age and some time on it. So in the end, I think you're better just asking for a little higher selling price and just leave it at that. What you're required to do in the sale of a practice is usually a 30-day supply of consumables. Everything else in the practice stays. You can't cherry pick. Well, this one is this much money. That it all goes. And the first time the buyer sees the equipment, he or she is going to think it's included anyway. So I would say just give it all in, and if it's such a valuable piece, then pull it out before the sale. That's all. And then get a remote unit that comes and does the CAT scans. But I like it because it makes it more marketable, and that's a decision you'll have to make, and you review everything. So just some thoughts there. All right? Call us anytime. We're here to help you. And we've been doing this 12 years. And we look forward to working together with you.